Welcome to the Becks, a podcast that explores multimedia horror with host Becky and Sydney. Join us as we talk about movies, books, video games, music, and much, much more.
Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Sydney Rebecca.
And I'm Rebecca Snow.
And we're the Becks. And this week, we're talking about The Descent. 2005 movie about 6 adventurous women who run into something in a cave that...
Something.
Yeah.
Is that what you're calling it? Something? Something terrifying. So I have a confession to make.
Uh-oh.
When I flipped the coin...
It landed on the other thing.
It landed on the other one. But I decided to do The Descent.
That's really funny.
I'm not sure why, because as soon as I got into the movie and remembered it, because I've seen it before, I was not too happy that I picked that one. So
they say that flipping a coin or having someone choose something for you, like taking the choice out of your hands for a moment, will help you actually decide which one you want to do more. So obviously you didn't really want to do Coraline yet, so you just...
Apparently, I don't know.
A decision was still made. That's what matters.
I think Coraline would not have traumatized me as much as The Descent does. Well, maybe.
I don't know. There's plenty of traumatizing shit in Coraline. It's pretty intense. So it came out in 2005. It's a United Kingdom movie, which I forgot. So most of the cast, if not all of them, are from England or Scotland, or I think one of them's from Australia, actually. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. And all of the filming took place in the United Kingdom. They actually considered it too dangerous and time-consuming to shoot in an actual cave. So all of the stuff in the movie is sets.
Really?
Which I thought was crazy impressive.
That is kind of impressive because, yeah, I would have thought at least some of the scenes were filmed in a cave.
Yeah, it looked so real.
Yeah.
They did an excellent job on set design and creature design and everything like that. This is the first time that I've seen The Descent since I read Ted the Caver. And so all throughout... this movie, I was like, they're not being very smart about their caving habits. I caught myself thinking, like, where's their backup light sources? And then they constantly yell at each other in the cave, which we know acoustics are infamously bad in caves. Like, it doesn't echo the way you think it should.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't have been able to hear each other all that well. Which, I mean, obviously was for plot reasons. And that's
of course. I think them yelling for each other was just dumb in the situation that they're in. But, okay.
We'll get into that.
Yeah. I'm not yelling for you ever. Well, I'm not going in a cave. So we've already established this with Ted the Caver.
Yeah.
I'm not doing the cave thing.
What if it's a touristy cave?
As long as I'm not climbing through a hole I can barely squeeze through, I'm good. I'll do it. But I'm not doing it. No. Don't give me that look. Not happening. Anyway, let's move forward.
I just want to explore.
You can explore. Your brother said he would go anywhere we needed him to.
That's so true.
So you and Austin can just go have a good old time in a cave somewhere.
Did I ever tell you, we're going to get off track for a second here, but did I ever tell you about my scary caves?
You did tell me that. I think you told me at work when we were talking to Lauren.
So, this was years ago when I was still a kid. We were visiting family in Tennessee, and there was a cave somewhat close to where they lived. I think it was like an hour and a half drive that had infamously been used in the Manson murders.
Okay.
I can't tell you what the cave is called or whatever. When we drove up to it, we had to go kind of off-road. There wasn't really a path. It was kind of it was obvious it was used just for ORVs and stuff. So we got to this cave, and I was a kid, so I expected like a hole in the side of a mountain or whatever. This cave was a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Much like
this one in
the cave in The Descent. Yeah. I just made that connection just now. Very disturbed. All right, so I wanted to go in, but I was outvoted by all of the responsible adults I was with.
So did they have to propel down on a rope? Or
It wasn't that deep. You
Okay.
could, not very safely, but you could kind of make your way down.
Okay.
Because it was probably fine for experienced rock climbers, which...
So how old were you?
8?
Oh, you were just a baby. Now, wait. You wanted to go in. They wouldn't let you go in. Who'd they leave you with on top?
I stayed with my cousin.
Okay.
They didn't all just leave me.
Okay. I was like, what happened? I'm mad now. Brother's got me. I'm going to have to call them boys.
So Adam and Austin, my 2 brothers, went in with my cousin Chris. And they were gone for a while. I remember it being a while. I guess I don't really know how long it was. But I was pissed off because I had to stay behind because I was too young to go in. And so I just stayed up on top, and we had my family's old brick of a digital camera. Like, you know,
Nice.
when they used to be, like, really thick.
Yeah.
The digital ones. And I was just taking pictures of, like, the surrounding woods and the cave mouth, all that stuff. And when I was flipping back through the pictures I took, I didn't see anything weird. It was just a hole in the ground. Well, eventually, like, me and my cousin heard the boys yelling, and they all, one after another, fucking catapulted themselves out of this cave. And they were all white as ghosts, scared as hell.
Huh.
And they refused to tell me what happened in the cave for years. They wouldn't talk about it. It wasn't until later on that, and I think Austin still didn't want to tell me about it. I think I got it out of Adam. He was telling me that they heard a voice telling them to get out.
Oh.
Like, it was a really nasty male-sounding voice, he said. And then rocks started being thrown at them.
Oh.
Big rocks. And that was enough for them. I mean, it doesn't really sound that scary of a...
No, but you don't know what that was.
But
you
they
don't
had-
know if that was human.
They had flashlights and stuff, so, and they never saw anyone down there. They just heard this disembodied voice, and all of these rocks got thrown at them. And almost harmed them, you know. But that's not where the story ends. So when we got home, when we came back home to Michigan, I uploaded all the pictures onto the family computer, and I was flipping back through them. And in one of the pictures, there are these white glowing eyes that are looking up at me from the cave hole.
Nice.
But they're really far apart, so it's weird that... Because there was nothing in the cave. There wasn't trash or anything like that. It was kind of in the middle of nowhere, and I don't think a lot of people knew about it except locals. Because there wasn't a lot of trash around the area either. It was kind of a out-of-the-way place. And so I don't think anything... Because I didn't have the flash on because it was broad daylight, so I don't think anything could have reflected or anything like that. But it wasn't like... human eyes don't reflect, first of all. We know that. But it wasn't like animal-sized or traditional animal-sized, if that makes sense. Like, they were far apart. Like, it was something really big.
Ah.
Like, Bigfoot or something. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but...
Could be. You don't know.
Bigfoot told my brothers to get out of his cave.
Could be.
I don't know. It was really freaky, though.
Bigfoot's the missing link, you know. People think that. Could be.
So there's no Bigfoot in this movie.
I don't have a scary cave story, so... And I never will have.
That's because you're a very sensible person.
I am super smart. Uh-huh. I don't think I've ever been in a cave before. Not once. Nope.
Neither have I.
Oh, well, probably a good thing. You were the young, weakest link. It probably would have took you. So anyways.
Thanks for
The
that.
descent.
So the movie opens up with 4 women, because there's 2 newcomers later on. There's 4 women and they're whitewater rafting, and they're screaming and having a really fun time. And they get back on land, and the main character, Sarah, her husband and daughter are waiting for her. And I think he was taking pictures and stuff like that. And it's immediately kind of weird between him and this one other woman named Juno. Like, it's just, you get an impression that she is into him.
Yeah, there's something off there. Yeah, but Sarah is oblivious.
Yeah.
Completely.
You know, it's cold wherever they are.
Yeah.
And Sarah's wet, so the other girls tell Sarah, like, go on home, you can get your kid in bed and in her pajamas and warm her up or whatever. So she has permission to leave, and on the drive home, her husband is kind of weird, and she's like, are you okay? You seem kind of distant. And he's like, oh, I'm fine. And when he...
Yeah, she was talking to her daughter about her birthday party because her birthday party was coming up.
Yeah, she was turning 6.
Yep, she had turned around and was talking to her because the daughter was in the back seat. And then she turned around and he just really wasn't interacting with her about the birthday party or anything. So that's when she asked him, are you okay? Mm-hmm. And he's, yeah, I'm fine. She said, are you sure? And
he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. And then he, in his distracted state, goes into the other lane, and there's like these poles on top of this car. It's very Final Destination.
Yeah, they're like copper poles, really long copper poles, probably like 8 feet at least. And they hit basically head on, and those,
Sorry, that was inappropriate.
And those poles fly through the car
head first.
Yeah, into
her husband.
Yes, and her daughter.
And her daughter, which you infer they don't show.
Yeah.
But she wakes up in the hospital, which, okay, I understand that when she wakes up, she's panicking because she doesn't know where her husband and daughter are.
Yeah.
But what is with this trope in movies where people just rip out their IVs and shit?
I don't know.
As soon as they wake up in the hospital. Like, you need that.
Yeah.
It's there for a reason.
Yeah. No, I don't know. And the thing is, and we see her alarms start going off. Like, her heart...
Yeah, her
she pulls all her
goes,
monitors off, and she's flatlining, and nobody responds. That's where I told, I think Roger was sitting out there with me. I'm like, wait, if she was coding, because that's what they would think, they would be running in this room to check on her, and nobody was there.
Well, she was kind of in a mixed up mental state. It was kind of
like a fugue state. Yeah, she was really...
Because she thought the hospital was empty.
Yeah.
And all of the lights were going out, and she was desperately trying to...
I think she was running from the darkness that she knew was going to probably consume her.
Yeah. There's a lot of metaphors in this movie. You could easily say that none of the stuff in the cave actually happened the way that it is portrayed in the movie, because it could have been just Sarah's descent into madness. You know?
True.
It cuts to a year later. You know, she finds out that her husband and daughter died.
Yeah, she collapses in her friend's arms.
It's really upsetting.
Yeah,
it's pretty.
It's as any mother can imagine, or anybody that loves someone that deeply. It's a deeply moving scene. The acting in this movie is fantastic as well. Oh yeah, for sure.
So it cuts to a year later, and she is in the car with her friend Becca, who she seems to be more close to than any of the other girls.
Yeah.
They seemed, I thought they were siblings almost at first. That's how they acted to me.
Yeah.
Like really,
I thought they were too.
Really close sisters.
Because they looked a lot alike as well.
Yeah. She's just telling Sarah, like, hey, it's going to be fine. It's going to be great. Juna has something really cool planned for us. And so it's kind of revealed that they kind of do something every year, something adventurous. So last year was the whitewater rafting. This year they're going caving. And it's supposed to be at this very popular touristy type cave system in Appalachia.
Stupid Appalachia. No offense to anybody, but Appalachia is so terrifying in all these scary movies that who wants to go there? Not me.
At least 6 women.
Yes. Lots of people, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, the Appalachian Trail is one of the most famous hiking trails of all time.
One of the most difficult to complete as well.
Well, yeah, it's like, how many miles? A ridiculous amount?
It's long. I just saw a story about a lady that died.
Oh!
Yeah, she wandered off, and her family couldn't find her, and she literally starved to death, and she was like a mile off the path.
That's horrible.
It was horrible. Yep, they found her like 3 years after. She was in her tent, and she'd written her family letters. And
aww.
yeah, it was awful. Anyway, off the subject again.
I mean, it's tangentially related.
But yes, Appalachia is beautiful. There's a lot of beautiful things, but apparently there's a lot of creepy things. And it's a good backdrop for creepy things.
So we get to the cabin where they're all staying at, and everybody else is already there. So it's Sarah, Becca, and Juno. Juno brought, I guess, a protege with her named Holly.
Mm-hmm.
There's also Beth and...
Sam.
Thank you. Oh, Sam. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So Beth is my favorite character besides Sarah. I loved Beth. I don't know why. She was setting to be a doctor.
She was a good character, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I had any favorites, but I think Beth was the sweetest when it came right down to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They stay the night in the cabin, and the next day they all go to the cave. Now, while they're there, everyone's kind of skirting around the fact that Sarah's got dead people.
Yeah,
you know?
Which that's typical.
Yeah.
I mean, you lost your mom. I've lost multiple people in my life. They won't talk about those people. It's almost like they never existed. And that's when you want to scream, hey, you can talk about them. It makes me feel better if you do. I mean, sometimes, yeah. But that's typical. Nobody wants to talk about it. Just ignore it. Act like it never happened.
Sarah multiple times tells people, like, hey, I'm not going to break.
Yeah.
But she also does get kind of cagey when people try to talk to her about it at the same time.
Again,
So
there you go. The emotions
just
that go
mixed
along
signals,
with,
yeah.
With a death of someone that you really love, you never know what your emotion's going to do. So, Sorry, people around you.
She actually ends up saying love every day. That's what it was, right?
I believe so.
And everyone was like, why are you saying that? Like, nobody said anything. They just stared at her. And she's like, that's something that Paul used to say. And everybody got super awkward about it.
Mm-hmm. Love each day.
Love each day. Okay. So then they all hike to the cave. So it's a long hike, and they're all kind of impatient to get to it. And they finally get to it. They actually have to go along this river first. It's not a very deep or wide river. They find a dead moose.
Was it a moose or an elk? What? She doesn't know. I'm pretty sure it was an elk.
Well, okay, so the look on my face was pure disbelief because why the fuck is she asking me the difference between a moose and an elk?
I just wanted to be correct.
Giant fuck off deer thing. That's what it was.
Okay.
And it kind of looks like it's been mauled.
Yeah, it doesn't look right.
Yeah, it's gross. There's maggots and stuff on it. So it's been decomposing for a little while. And they're like, what could do this? And then they just kind of move on. Like, one of them starts poking it with a stick, which I thought was really funny. They all approached, I don't know if this is just because they had never come across an elk or a moose before. It was clear the closer you got that it was dead, but they approached it with a blaseness that made me uncomfortable as an American because those animals are really dangerous.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Moose kills so many people a year. Yeah. Like, you don't fuck with them. I don't know about elk, but moose at least.
You know I want to look this up.
Oh,
just
my
because
God.
I need to. Go ahead, keep talking.
So they get to the cave and they do have to rappel down because it's a hole in the ground and it's super deep down. So they have to set up all their gear and each one rappels down one after another. And inside is beautiful, very picturesque. It's not totally dark yet, obviously, because there's a giant hole. So there's sunlight streaming down and there's some vegetation. And I don't think there were any cave paintings or anything when they first got into it.
No, there was nothing until I got later on.
Yeah. There was, however, a claw mark that looked kind of bloody that Sarah noticed, but she never brought it up to anybody. It was like in the wall.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Pretty sure it was an elk, but it doesn't tell me. Just, I don't know. Keeps giving me pictures of things I don't want to look at.
Is it on the Wikipedia page?
I don't know.
Let's look. Wikipedia is too vague.
Well, when I searched the descent and I put elk, it brought up elk scene. So I'm assuming.
Well, you could do the same thing with moose and it would probably come up with moose.
Probably because nobody knows the difference.
Especially me.
Yep, it really does come up moose scene. I don't know. So. Anyways, doesn't matter. it's a big frickin' deer of some sort.
Big antlered thing.
Antlered animal.
Vaguely recognizable as either moose or elk.
Yes. I'd have to watch the movie again. I don't think I want to do that.
You can tell the difference between an elk and a moose just by looking at them?
150%. Yes. Their horns are their antlers, sorry. Their antlers are completely different. Completely.
I believe you.
I grew up in a hunting family. I know these things. But they never hunted elk or moose, but yes, I know.
Okay.
Haha.
Again, I go back to the question, why the fuck did you ask me?
I don't know. The look on your face. This is when we need video. Should always be recording this stuff.
Yeah, I don't have enough memory on my phone. Maybe we could do it with your phone.
No, I don't have enough memory. I do have a really cool camera though.
Possibilities for next time. So they start exploring the cave. They find this pretty narrow passage. So one thing that they make pretty clear is that Juno is, since she got the, I guess, reservation to, because they reported themselves to like the local people so that if they didn't show up within a certain amount of time, they would search for them. I don't know what the term that they use in the movie was, but Juno's kind of in charge because she's the one that set the whole thing up. So you'd think that she would be the one leading the charge, especially considering facts that we learn later on. Mm-hmm. But she just lets Holly, who again is like her protege, she's like plucky, cool kid.
Plucky, cool kid.
Yeah. She seems younger than the rest of them.
Yeah, I would say.
She just kind of lets Holly take the lead, and Holly she knows her shit, but she's kind of reckless. And that's established earlier on because she talks about how she does like free fall jumping off of buildings and shit. I forget what she said. It was like parkour before parkour was a thing. So she does all of these stunts. The more dangerous, the better, I think she even says at some point. So she's got kind of a reckless streak, which is not something that you want when you're caving.
Not me. I'm not caving. Good luck. Just keep saying it.
But she does find this passage, and it's kind of narrow. One by one.
Kind of narrow? It's pretty super narrow.
All 5 bitches got through it.
Yeah, but they're all tiny bitches. This bitch would be stuck.
Sarah was also tiny. Her bag got stuck when she was the last one through, which I also found odd. I know that nobody wanted her to feel like she was being coddled, but I also feel like she should have been at the center of the group. They should have just arranged it that way. I don't know. That's just how I feel. Like, if I had a friend who I wanted to look out for and feel included and stuff like that, I would put them in the central.
But is that what that trip was all about?
True.
Mm-hmm. Probably why she was last.
Yeah. So she does come up last, and like I said, her bag gets stuck, and she starts panicking. And her friend Becca actually turns around in a wider portion of this passage and crawls back and starts comforting her because she's like hyperventilating.
Yeah.
And
she had to get her breathing again so she could actually move because she was convinced she wasn't going anywhere. She was stuck.
Yeah. And I really liked this scene. I thought it really just showcased what kind of relationship her and Becca had. Mm-hmm. It just seemed very sweet. Yeah. And Becca didn't let her try any shit. She was like, no, you can breathe. Yep. And they did get her unstuck. But the thing is the tunnel started kind of, I don't want to say shaking. That's not really the right term. But it started to seem like it wasn't very stable. Yeah. And Becca looks at her and she says, fuck your bag. Let's get out of here. Yeah. And so they both rocket out as fast as they can, and the tunnel collapses behind them. Nobody was hurt, thankfully. But their only way out that they know of currently has been sealed.
Imagine that.
So it opens it up into this wider cavern, and it is really enormous. And Juno uses a flare to look around, and they're all just trying to calm down, decompress, get their bearings. And
they thought it was beautiful. They lit flares.
Yeah.
And shut the flares off, and they were all really impressed with how gorgeous it was.
Speak louder.
Speak louder?
Yes.
Oh. So they were very impressed with how gorgeous it was once they lit the flares and seen where they were, because there was a big drop off, though.
Yeah.
They had to figure out a way to get across because they couldn't go back. Mm-hmm. So that was terrifying and scary and all of the above.
Yeah. That was Sam that did that. So
That was awful.
She had to have enormous upper body strength for this.
I can't even imagine.
So there was it opened up into this area that had it was a huge drop off, and they could see to the other side that's where the tunnel continued. So Sam had to hang from her hands from the roof.
It was horrible.
Ceiling, I should say.
Yeah.
And had to put down anchor lines so that they could eventually all kind of zip line across. And she's groaning with the effort of this.
Oh, yeah. It was
pouring sweat. It was so stressful. I thought she was going to either lose her grip at any time or she was going to drop her anchor pieces.
Yeah.
I really thought
she was literally swinging over and attaching the anchor pieces where she could.
Yeah.
And, it looked so physically strenuous, and it had to have been so taxing on her. It was crazy.
And she needed more anchor pieces, but the rest of them, the extras that they had, were in the rope bag that got left behind in that cavern that collapsed. So they were shit out of luck. They just needed
100%.
to do what they had to do. So they all go across. This time, leading up the rear is Juno. And she takes down the anchor pieces. And when the other women question her about it, she's like, we need everything we got. Which made perfect sense to me. But she also had to do some serious, strenuous work.
Yeah.
When she got to the last anchor piece, which actually was old.
Super old.
Rusty.
Yeah.
It was convenient that it was there.
But she knew that it meant something was not good.
Yeah, and it actually broke off. Mm-hmm. And she almost fell to her death.
Yep.
They were able to pull her up, though. So they get out to the other side of the tunnel, and Holly, who is once again in the front of the group, sees daylight. And she starts running, which was so fucking goddamn stupid. I got so angry. You don't know where the fuck you're going.
Exactly.
It's dark as hell.
And just take off, leave everybody behind.
And Juno was yelling to her, hey, you need to stop, you need to slow down. Holly, it's not daylight. It's not daylight. Holly was too far gone to listen. Yeah. Either she couldn't hear her or she didn't care. Well, of course, she ends up falling, and Becca narrowly grabs her. Narrowly. But it's really wet. So there were a couple times when they were going through the cave, there's a lot of water. Either an underground stream or river or, just condensation dripping.
Yep.
Very
Sometimes
wet.
it was like it was raining in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, these girls are dirty and they're sweaty, too.
Yep.
And, she slips out of Becca's grasp and she falls hard.
Yeah.
And she breaks her leg.
That was horrible. That was horrible. Her bone was sticking right out her leg.
Yeah, dude, there's nothing I hate. If there's one thing that can almost... I'm not very squeezy, but...
Squeezy? She's not squeezy.
I'm not very queasy. But bones sticking out of things, that almost gets me.
Almost gets her.
It definitely makes me uncomfy.
Yeah, it makes me uncomfortable too. I think I could deal with it if I had to, but
so they
just
all
the thought of the pain.
Yeah, I don't even.
I'll move the chair.
It's gonna sound like a big fart.
It is.
So they all travel down to this tunnel where Holly fell. Much more cautiously, they rappel down. Everyone else makes it safe down. But then it's revealed how bad off Holly is.
Yeah.
Because she has, it's called a compound fracture, right? When it sticks out of the skin.
So. Yep.
And they don't have the fucking medical supplies to treat something like that. Their only way out that they know of collapsed behind them. And the girls are already starting to get a little bit suspicious because many of the girls came prepared. You know, they read the guidebook to the caves that they were supposed to be in.
Yeah.
And especially when they get Holly all bandaged up, which is super gruesome. They have to shove her.
Yeah, they have to like yank her leg to put it back down in there.
Which I'm glad that they had a training doctor with them because that's better than an inexperienced person doing it. But still, like, thinking about all the bacteria from the cave just getting shoved into her leg like that. I was thinking about those things. Yeah. I don't know if you were.
No.
Oh. Well, now you are.
I am.
It opens up into a big cavern again, and Sarah starts using her flashlight to look around. She actually is kind of distracted. Throughout the movie, she keeps hearing her daughter's voice or her daughter laughing and things like that. And she heard it again when they got down to where Holly was injured. And she's panning her flashlight around, and there's this weird skittering noise that happens. And I don't know if it was part of the soundtrack or if it was actually something in the movie. I watched the scene a couple of times because if you pay close enough attention, you can see things disappear from one flash of the light to another. So things are moving.
Yeah, they are moving.
And she steps further and further away from the group. This is while Holly's getting operated on.
Yeah, they're yanking her leg back into place.
And she comes across this underwater pond, lake, puddle, something. Yep. And she sees something drinking from it. And this is our first glimpse of the creatures that dwell deep in these Appalachian caves.
They call them the crawlers.
Yes.
So yeah, all white. Pretty much look like they're albino.
Yeah, they got pointed ears.
Yeah.
Pointy teeth. Fucked up eyes.
Really bad eyes. I don't swear on my podcast very seldom.
Yeah. So she turns around because she's freaked out at this point. Because it looks up at her and disappears.
Yeah, looks right at her and then it takes off.
Well, I guess it doesn't look at her. But, you know.
Yeah. So we'll get to that.
I'm being a shit.
But it turns towards her, and she thinks it looks at her.
And she turns around because she's freaked out, and Juno's right fucking there, and she like, jumps. And Juno's like, are you okay? Like, what is going on with you? You know, I know an accident just happened, but are you with me? And Sarah's like, I just saw someone. And Juno and she start arguing, and they head back to the other girls. And Juno's like, you didn't see anything. It's the dark. It's playing tricks on you. You know, we're all stressed out, blah, 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 whatever. And the other girls are like, wait, you saw somebody? Back up. And she's like, yeah, it looked like a man.
Yeah.
And the other girls are like, well, if someone is down here, maybe they can help us. And Sarah's like, I don't think Sarah really knew how to feel about that because I don't think... At this point, Juno already thought that she was crazy. And it's not like she was super close to the creature, so she couldn't tell a lot about it.
Yeah.
But even as the audience, seeing it through her eyes, it didn't look right.
No, for sure. It did not look right.
If it was a man, it was a messed up man. And also, why wouldn't he/it have called out? Why wouldn't it have moved closer? Why didn't it have any sources of light? There's just a bunch of different stuff that wouldn't have added up.
Yeah.
So
and why was it drinking water out of this cave pond?
Yeah. Can't have been clean.
No,
unless it was a spring, you know. So they all are taking a break and eating. And Juno turns to Sarah and she's like, hey, you know, I don't think I didn't really get the chance to tell you how sorry I was about the accident. And Sarah gets really uncomfortable and she's like, you know what, I'm not really hungry. I'm going to look around. So that's what she does. She goes and she walks around. She looks around. Becca confronts Juno. Well, all of the girls confront Juno because they find another opening to go through to try and find an exit. Because they find cave paintings that imply that there are two exits. Or two entrances, yes. However you want to say it. And the cave drawings were really beautiful, obviously untouched, which is rare these days. And the girls are like, there's something not right. And I think it was Sam specifically who was like, none of this is like in the books. And that's when Juno reveals that they aren't at this popular cave system. She found it when she was driving around, and it doesn't have a name. It hasn't been explored yet. She wanted them all together to explore it.
Yeah. Yeah, she did.
She even tells Sarah later on that she wanted to name she was thinking that they could name the cave after her, Sarah.
Yeah.
And Sarah was like, yeah, right.
Uh-huh.
Fucking bitch. So everyone's obviously super pissed off about this because, it wasn't Juno that sent the emergency information. It was Sam. Because Sam is like, I filed emergency help with the cave system that we're supposed to be at. Nobody knows we're fucking here.
Yeah.
So then it's even more dire, and everyone's fucking pissed at Juno. Rightfully, because they have somebody who's almost critically injured, She's lucky that the bone, when it broke out of her leg, didn't rip open her artery or something. Like, it was
it was really bad. She led him into a horrible, horrible situation.
They go through this extra tunnel, that they find, and they come across a den, and it's covered in animal bones. There's so many bones.
It's so creepy.
And it's crunchy and dry, and they've been there a long time, and there's thousands of them. It's super unsettling. And then they get attacked by the things that they end up calling crawlers. And it goes for Holly first, I think, probably because it smells her blood. Mm-hmm. And it rips out her throat.
It's so horrendous and so quick. And
yeah, she dies probably almost instantly.
Yeah, it's bad. It's so bad. And they're so creepy. They're so creepy.
They're really creepy. They actually reminded me a lot of, like, classic vampire.
Yeah.
Like Nosferatu a little bit.
No, I agree.
So I think there was some inspiration there for sure. Sarah, like, everybody runs, tries to scatter. Sarah runs, and she actually falls down a hole and gets knocked out.
Yeah.
Again, running in a dark cave. It's not very smart. But I do understand, because same.
Yeah, you're just trying to get away from whatever is attacking you, this creature, this horrible nastiness.
Yeah, that just killed somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they first went down in the cave, the one scene was there were like hundreds of bats, and it scared the one girl. Which girl was that?
It was Sarah.
It was Sarah. Scared her to death because there were so many bats. Mm-hmm. And they were kind of making fun of it.
Yeah.
And the thing with that is then you see these crawlers that they just look like a vampire.
Yeah.
So it's creepy. It's just creepy.
So Juno is trying to prevent Holly's body from being dragged away, which I'm assuming kind of was just a panic response because Holly was dead, and I understand wanting to have remains, but you're in extenuating circumstances.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm leaving you behind.
Yeah, like, she was clearly dead. Her throat was gone.
Yeah, I would do what I could to save you, but if you were beyond saving, Sydney, I'm leaving you.
That's fair.
I'll set the cave on fire once I get out, and then you'll just be free to float away.
You're gonna set a cave on fire.
I'm gonna throw anything I can down there.
Do you got some dynamite? Do you have that?
There's fires in, what's that town in Appalachia that's always burning?
The Silent Hill town.
Yeah.
I forget the name of it.
Me too. But see?
Yeah, but it's coal. It's a coal mine. It's not caves.
I could find a natural gas something. Light that fucker on fire. Yes.
Gonna Rambo it up. So Juno actually kills the crawler that is trying to make off with Holly's body, which was impressive. And I was like, fuck yeah, get it. But she hears a noise behind her and just swings. And she catches Becca in the throat.
Yeah. And Becca grabs a hold of her as she's falling to the ground and pulls off a necklace.
Yeah, a necklace that Juno kind of treats throughout the movie as like a good luck charm or something. She, runs her fingers across it. She kisses it at one point for luck. Juno is so shocked and traumatized by what happened that she kind of just takes the pickaxe out of... It's not a pickaxe. It's like a climbing tool.
Yeah. It's a nasty little thing.
Yeah, she yanks it out of Becca's neck.
Ah.
And Becca tells her not to leave her.
Yeah, she begs.
Because there's more, they can hear more snarling and the creatures and stuff. Because they kind of, sounds like they use clicking and growling and stuff to communicate.
Yeah.
But Juno does leave her.
Oh, yeah, she's out.
Yeah, she just kind of backs away into the darkness. Which, again, I can understand.
Well.
I liked Juno's character. I thought she was very complicated. I didn't like her as a person, but I liked her character.
No, her character was a good character. She was not a nice person.
I just like interesting people. But I do understand why she left Becca. I mean, what was she gonna do? I guess she could have killed her. Like, she could have actually killed her. That wound would have killed her eventually.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it was an accident. She did not deliberately do that to her. She was so terrified at that moment. She'd been attacked by 2 different ones, and she thought for sure that this was another one coming for her, and she just reacted.
Yeah.
So, in her defense, she did not set out to kill Becca.
Right.
She did, however, just leave her. Mm-hmm. But she probably figured there was nothing. I mean, it was to her jugular vein. She was bleeding out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took her a long time to die.
It really did.
So Sarah wakes up and it's this... She wakes up in another kind of den, except this time it's not dry bones. It's wet, disgusting, bloody ones.
It's so gross.
Everywhere. And she witnesses Holly's body being mauled and eaten by...
ripped apart, and eaten.
And again, Holly was already dead.
Doesn't make it any nicer, but she was dead.
Meanwhile, though, Sam and Rebecca run into Juno, and they actually find cave markings that previous explorers had obviously used to mark their way in. So they have the arrows pointed one way, they go the opposite way, deeper into the system to try to find the way out. Sam has deduced that the crawlers they hunt by sound.
Yeah. And she says they're like bats.
Yeah, and that they're blind. And they actually, when they kill one, she looks at it. She kind of pokes at it.
Yeah. She has decided that whatever they are, they have adapted to living in the caves where they don't need sight and they hunt like bats, and hence they kind of look like bats with their teeth the way they are and their eyes the way they are. And yeah, they're creepy. Except they're stark white. Yeah. They get no sun, so... But they also have determined that they go to the surface and hunt, and that's why all those dead animals are down there.
Yeah. Which also, it's like, okay, so they obviously had been interrupted earlier when they were hunting the moose elk.
Yeah. The moose elk. It's our own new name for big animals with antlers.
So Sarah actually encounters Becca, who tells her that Juno killed her.
Yes.
Or tried to kill her. Attacked her.
And she gives her the necklace. But this is very important because the necklace says...
Love each day.
Which is what
Paul used to say.
Husband used to say.
Becca even tells her, like, yeah, this was a gift from Paul. Which fucking pissed me off for 2 reasons. First of all, if you're having an extramarital affair and you give the other woman gifts like that, you're a fucking piece of shit.
Right? Yeah.
The other thing that pissed me off was that Becca knew about it.
Yeah. But I think, that's why she grabbed it.
And that's why earlier when they got into the fight and Sarah wandered off again, because everyone was pissed off about them not being in the right caves, Becca called her a jealous, awful cow, and Juno was like, Sarah wasn't the only one that lost something in the crash. Like, how dare you imply something like that? Because you were the other woman.
I wonder if that's when Becca found out, though. If maybe that's when she knew.
And then when she saw the pendant.
Yeah.
That could be.
I don't know. whatever it was wrong. It was wrong. And then for Juno to try and be Sarah's good friend again, she just kept saying, I need to get back to what we were. Well, you were sleeping with her husband.
Yeah.
Accident may have not happened if he hadn't been super distant thinking about her.
Yeah.
Things, every action has a reaction to it. So,
yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately.
And then this is one of the worst parts of the movie for me. Becca asked Sarah to kill her.
Oh, it's horrible.
Because, I mean, she's alive and she's barely. Okay. But she is in their... She's on their dinner plate, basically.
Oh, yeah. She's laying there just waiting for them to come rip her apart.
And they can hear that the crawlers are getting nearer. And Becca literally is like, please. And Sarah does it.
She doesn't do it easily, though. She
No.
said, I can't. I can't. But she does.
She tries to convince her to try to get her out of there. But Becca knows what Sarah does.
Well, she's lost so much blood.
Sarah can't accept.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Which would be hard for anyone. If that's your friend and you know that there's just no way out. Yeah. Rough.
And it's kind of too late for Sarah to get away from the crawlers that end up coming up. And she actually fucking kills them all. Like,
Yeah, she's bad.
She takes the bandages and the bone from Holly's leg and fashions a torch out of it.
Yeah.
And grabs, like, another bone and just bludgeons all of these fuckers to death. And it's awesome. It's fucking awesome.
That's the scene where the child one attacks her, right, first?
Yeah.
And then the mom comes.
And then is all sad about her dead mutant baby.
Yes. And then she tries to attack her. Oh, and then she falls in the big bloody pool.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So she falls into the pool of blood and she...
Oh, it's so gross.
I was like, dude, I would come up vomiting. There's no way.
Yep.
I would be dead because they would follow the sounds of my retching.
Yes. No, it's bad.
But
it was literally a pool of blood and goo and...
viscera.
Oh.
And she gets out of it very calmly. Like, she rises out of it. This is also a super badass scene. This is why I love Sarah. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, this is what I'm here for. But the mom creature followed her in and attacks her. But she does get the upper hand and she kills the shit out of her.
Does. She gets bit a couple times.
She does. She doesn't make it out unscathed.
No,
but
it's pretty rough.
And she actually hears another crawler coming and freezes on this little shelf. And it just crawls over her.
Oh, it's so bad. It crawls over, steps on her, and then the slime from its mouth falls on her face.
It was really
But she
gross.
doesn't move. She just doesn't move.
She just stares ahead unblinking.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn,
Well,
you can't afford how much therapy you need at this point.
It was like the other two girls that laid on the shelf.
Yeah.
Whose watch went off, and that one crawled all over them and was in their face, and they just had to lay there.
Yeah, Beth and Sam.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah. It's so horrible. It was such a funny little Chekhov's gun because Beth mentions earlier that she can't figure out this fancy new watch that her boyfriend gave her.
Yeah.
And she's like, I can't get the time right. I don't know when I set the alarm for or whatever. And when they're trying to hide,
the alarm goes off.
And she does rip it off her wrist in time and throws it away. But
yeah, I'm
God,
get it off.
That was tense, dude. Ugh, that was rough.
Yeah.
Sam and Beth are like, okay, well, let's just keep following the arrows. But Juno keeps saying, no, I can't leave without Sarah. And I think it's less to do about her trying to salvage their relationship and more about her being Sarah's friend out of guilt.
Yeah. No, that's 100%. That's why she wanted to name the cave after her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Juno, Sam, and Beth are pursued by a huge group of prowlers, and they reach a chasm, another chasm, that they have to try to cross. And Sam tries to climb across and do the same thing with the anchor points. But Beth and Juno are like, girl, you don't have enough rope. Like, this is pointless. Yeah. And she's like, no, I gotta do this. And there's a crawler that crawls up on the ceiling and rips her throat out.
Yeah, because they can crawl anywhere. They got
sticky Spider-Man fingers.
They're like mice. They can crawl upside down. And
Yeah.
Ugh.
But she also she slashes its throat and falls into the water. And they just have to they have to leave her body hanging there.
Yeah, it was rough.
Which I think was almost, I think it's the imagery that bothered me more than anything. I don't know. It was very sad because I really liked that character.
Yeah. And she was just hanging down, bleeding out from her neck. Horrible.
And Becca is also dragged away and eaten alive. And Juno, instead of trying to help her, runs away.
Yeah.
Which,
again, you gotta kind of understand.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
It becomes, you have to survive. That's all you're thinking is survival.
So after Sarah completely fucking demolishes another group of crawlers, like she's taking these bitches out. She actually runs into Juno. And Sarah confronts her immediately and is like...
She pissed.
She's like, where is everybody?
Yeah.
And Juno's like, they didn't make it. And she's like, what about Becca? And Juno's like, no, she didn't make it either. And Sarah goes, did you see it? And Juno says, no.
Mm-hmm.
So she lies. Because when she had discovered Becca told her not to trust Juno.
Yes.
And reinforced it by being like, hey, she and Paul were in affairs with the necklace, you know? They both fight off some more crawlers, but then Sarah obviously is looking at Juno and thinking about the affair and how she killed Becca, essentially.
Yeah.
Even if she didn't strike the killing blow and all this stuff. And she has the little axe in her hand and she lifts it. And the pendant just kind of gently drops to hang underneath it. And Juno looks at it, and Sarah looks at Juno, and Juno looks at her. And Sarah swings the axe and hits her right in the back of the knee.
Yeah.
And then Sarah turns around and runs. And the last we hear of Juno is her screaming.
Because all you can see as Sarah exits is a bunch of the crawlers
like
on the ceiling.
Hundreds.
Yeah, there's a ton coming after her. There's no way she can run.
Sarah actually falls down another hole and goes unconscious because the bitch can't stay conscious.
She's been unconscious a lot in this movie, and I don't know how she didn't get eaten.
Yeah. Well,
while she was unconscious.
Well, she wasn't making any noise.
True, and that's the only way they could. Yeah, it was weird they couldn't hunt any scent either, really. They could be right on top of one of them, and there was no scent for them to find them.
Plot hole.
Yeah. It was just...
I don't know. They all probably... Sarah especially, she kind of just smelled... She probably smelled really nasty.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, because everyone got in cave water and dirt and mud and blood and viscera and stuff like that. So maybe her prey scent... Because they didn't normally hunt humans, so their smell would have been unusual.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, they obviously had humans before because of all the old equipment that they found.
There were bones in there, too. Skulls and stuff from humans. So, yeah. Anyway, is what it is.
So, she
Unconscious
wakes...
Sarah.
But she does wake up, and she sees sunlight gently tipping into this hole. It's not a very big hole. And she has to climb this, like, mountain of more bones. And they're dry bones. Like, white, bleached, dry bones. And she crawls up, and she's crying, and she finally reaches a hand through... And it's, like, almost like the entrance was half buried.
Yeah. On purpose, it almost seems like that
they
covered it.
And she runs. She's finally outside. She takes this huge, like... gasping breath when she's finally out, and she runs, she finds the river, she finds her way back to her truck.
Crying the whole time.
Yeah. She gets in it, she drives like a fucking maniac out of there, which...
I hate when they do that. That makes me so angry.
Do you think after such a traumatizing experience, and finally getting to see the sunlight again, you would be driving calmly? You'd be going the speed limit?
Probably not, but when they drive super, super crazy, you see in all the other movies, they wreck. And then whatever's chasing them gets them anyways. So she drove enough that she didn't get caught. She was driving away, but it made me mad that she pulled over.
I know. I was like, girl, you're not far enough until you're back in England.
Me too. I want to see skyscrapers before I'm stopping. No, she pulls over after a big truck goes by her.
Yeah.
Just,
And she looks to her side, though, and sees Juno. Just like an apparition.
And she screams.
Yeah. And then, so this is what was really funny, is when we talked about doing this movie.
Yeah.
I was talking about how it had a bad ending.
We were at work talking with coworkers.
And I was like, I like that it had a bad ending, though. It was realistic, whatever. And Becky was like, it didn't have a bad ending. What are you talking about?
Yeah. She was like, she never got out of the cave. And I said, yes, she did. And our other coworker was like, yes, she did. And
I was like, no,
you
she
were totally
didn't.
arguing with me.
I was like, girl, I remember, okay? She thinks she gets out, but she hallucinates a birthday cake for her daughter in the flames of the torch. And she smiles because she's fucking entirely lost her mind. And the camera pans out to you see her being surrounded by the crawler creatures. And then it fades to black. Like, she did not make it out of the cave. That was the ending that I remembered.
That was not the ending in this movie.
Yeah. It was so weird. I had such bad cognitive dissonance at the end of this movie because I'm like, this is not how it ended.
Yeah. So we had to look it up. I Googled it. And sure enough,
it has two different endings.
Two different endings.
One is the UK released ending and one is the US released ending. And I can tell you without doing any research that the US ending was the good ending.
Yes, it was. 100%.
Because Americans don't like bad endings.
So it was a little confusing at first. We didn't know what was going on.
Because I seriously thought I was losing my mind.
Because she thought we had lost our minds. Because she was like, no, you're crazy. I'm like, no, she... And I did say, well, it could be left up to interpretation. Because
she saw Juno.
She saw Juno. So did she really get out of the cave? Or was this all just something she was seeing? Or did she really just lose her mind after she got out of the cave? Which rightfully so, anyone would going through that. Losing 5 friends. Having those things attack you over and over. But I couldn't figure out what Sydney was talking about. So we Googled it, and sure enough. So it all made sense then.
It's just funny. Me and Becky, we're close friends. We spend a lot of time arguing.
We do.
Actually.
I like to prove her wrong. She knows this.
She does.
She likes to prove me wrong, too, though.
I do, as well. It's very satisfying. But I take it with grace when I'm wrong about things.
I do, too.
Yeah, we're unproblematic about it.
We get snippy with each other. It is what it is.
But we love each other. It's too gay. You gotta tone it back.
All right, just cut that out. You're the editor. We're good. No, none of that gay stuff here.
No. We're two heterosexual women.
One of us is.
So, that was The Descent. Great movie. So good.
It was, yeah.
I've seen it several times, and it's still scary.
It is scary. Those things are creepy. I hadn't seen the movie probably since 2005 when it came out. And as soon as that first creature, she pans over it with the light. And it's a jump scare. It's like, oh, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
And then it gets worse from there. But yeah, no, it's a good movie. I liked it, but those things creep me out.
It starts out and it's so claustrophobic, and you really feel the characters panic when as your own in certain spots. Like I've seen this movie and there were times when I was holding my breath.
Yeah. Well, and you get angry too. You get so angry at Juno for putting them all in that situation because she was so selfish.
It's so dangerous.
And she was selfish cheating with her best friend's husband. She was, you just want to smack her and say, come on now, get some sense, do something right. And instead she just does selfish acts every time. Every time.
There are responsibilities shared by people like that. It's a married person's responsibility not to cheat, which shouldn't be fucking hard. You took vows for it. But also, if you're someone who is pursuing a married person, you're a piece of shit.
Agreed. I am 100% for if you want to leave a marriage, if you're not happy, if you actually are starting to feel something like that for someone else, then your obligation is to go to your spouse and say, this is how I feel. And if I can feel this way, then I need to leave you because you deserve better.
Yeah.
Before you ever step out of that.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be married, don't get married.
Mm-hmm.
Pure and simple. Have the relationships you want. Be in whatever relationship. Whether it's a polyamorous relationship. Whatever you want to be in, then be in that relationship. But don't break someone's heart with the manipulation and the lies.
Yeah.
That's just wrong. No matter what kind of relationship you're in. Ever. Don't manipulate. Don't cheat. You want to be with someone, but be an adult.
Yeah, be
and
honest.
leave the relationship you're in before you do that.
Have,
listen to my moral.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm doing right now.
Pat.
Yes. Anyway, The Descent. Great movie.
Yeah. And I really do think there's something, like, there are multiple angles to view this movie from. Like I said at the beginning. Sarah's descent into madness, perhaps, is just one of them.
Yes.
Was any of it real?
Real enough for me not to go in a cave.
Yes, we know.
I know. I'll tell you again and again. I'm sure there'll be other cave movies. There always are.
I hope so. I like him. I like being scared.
Oh, I like being scared too, obviously.
But I still want to go into a...
You want me to shut that window right there?
No, it's on the second floor. It doesn't bother me as much.
Things can crawl up the side.
Well, now I do want you to... Fucker. She's being mean to me. You hear this? I'm being bullied. So next time, we're going to talk about... It's your turn. What are we going to talk about?
Ooh, I don't know yet. Huh, you always put me on the spot. Not sure I like you.
I don't like you and your window jokes.
Ooh, it'll be a surprise.
So we're going to have delicious surprises in store for our next episode.
Yes.
Did you guys watch The Descent? What did you think about it? Which ending did you see?
Yeah.
Which one do you prefer? Let us know.
What do you want to see? Or, well, what do you want to hear from us? Any suggestions would be awesome. We love that.
Which we will start recording some stuff, like videos for things and
She's
stuff.
rolling her eyes. Can you hear the...
I know we have to. I just don't like being on camera. I think I sound and look stupid.
Well, that's beside the point.
Oh! I see how it is. All right.
You know how I feel about cameras on me.
Well, we didn't even last a year. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again never. No, I'm just kidding. So, yeah. So there will be surprises next time. Thank you so much for joining us. Today the pod, tomorrow the world. My name is Sydney Rebecca.
And I'm Rebecca Snow.
And we're the Becks.